Okay, so we start the session number 10, the first of the last day of the training, about basic things related to the visualization. The icons that you get after installing the BMS platform, one of that is the visualization editor. I will try to show you here. Okay, because I have it in my taskbar. So I will try to show you the icon. There is a visualization editor icon. Also, there is a visualization runtime. So, but this is only for the, okay. This is the visualization editor icon, okay? And I will show you the others. That is, okay. Just 1 second, because they are a bit in the menu. Okay, and this is the visualization runtime icon. Okay, so you have the Core Studio and many other icons, but most important are both. I will execute this, the visualization editor, to create my first visualization project. So it's also important to have the server, the core server started, because this is a client of this service, the BMS core server. Okay, so this is important to have it started. And the first thing we get is the connection to the core, because we could have this editor in a different computer also, and the server in a independent computer. So this is important to have this connection and to synchronize the connection. So it's important to engage the client with the server, as the editor in this case will be a client of that service. So in this case, the IP of my server is my local host. So you can just keep this IP. Also, you can write the word localhost. Is the same as writing that IP address. Is exactly the same, localhost. There is a specific port for this connection. This port is using the internal protocol for NetX automation, and there is, for security reason, an encryption between the server and the client, because it's important that nobody without the right password and PIN can access to the server and can edit any visualization externally without this encryption, or without these permissions. Okay, and the password and the PIN are configured in the server, so it should be configured by you in the server configuration. This is very important. Here in this menu, we have the possibility to configure this password and this PIN. You can see that by default it's very simple. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4 for this connection. Okay, so here, knowing this, we can go here and write my very complex password and PIN. But remember to change this, of course, in the future, because like the super admin password for the web manager, it should be changed, and the password is changed me for one reason, and this is also important. One other thing that we are not going to use, but we know about, is the backup possibility. If we have main backup configuration, we will have only one visualization connecting automatically to the main normally, or if the main fails, automatically reconnecting to the backup. So we need to indicate this here. So if we have a backup server, we can indicate here the IP address of the backup, and it's automatically controlled by the system. connection and reconnection to the main and the backup. That's it. So this is the first thing to do, just to connect to the server. So if we succeed, we will have connection to the server. You can see a green button here. And the second thing to do is to log in. I had the previous visualization open, so I'm always prompt to log in to that visualization. This is not the case because I would like to create a new one, a first approach of my visualization. So I will just cancel this because I want to create in my workspace a new visualization. So you can you have here only a few possibilities when you have not opened a visualization. This is one of that is create a new workspace for the visualization. It's not the workspace for the server. This is a different exportation. Visualization that we can call, for example, with the date of today, 2021-12-16 visu demo, for example. When you create a project, you should take in account the size, the screen size. This is important and not so much important now. The size of the screen that is going to be receptor of this visualization is possible to configure here. So take a look because it's really powerful. This is Ultra HD. And this is 4K and 8K, so it's possible to have an 8K screen. It's not a problem. Even more because you can define your own size. But by default, I will remain this Ultra HD UHD definition, and it's not a problem the size of the screen in principle because we have auto zoom for the edition, and if you have a web the Vision app. The NetX Vision app, that is an app for iOS or for Android, it's also resizable. The zoom is automatic, and in web browsers also it's automatically zoomed. So we will see that. The only question here is the relation of aspect between height and width. This is the thing to consider, but normally if it's a typical screen, any resolution you configure here with enough resolution is okay. But I will not lose more time with this because it's just a question of testing and showing to you. But the question is that you have a lot of possibilities from the very beginning to create a project. If you need to create a visualization project for an iPad, for example, or for a PC or for a smartphone, you can create one project and copy that and adapt the screen of the pages and resize the icons, but it's only a few time work, so it's not complicated. Also, the best thing is that you do the big work only once in this case. So I will say, okay, and what happens is that I want to create a project, so I need to connect again, but you don't have to write anything because it's already configured, but I will be prompt to log in again because I have to demonstrate that I have enough permissions to create a project, and only super admin can do it. So I put the user and the password. I remind you the password here. The password is, sorry, this, change me. This is the password, okay? I'm writing always change me behind. I'm always writing the word change me here, and should be changed in the real project, but it's now for the training, it's okay. So now we are starting one project. It's just the very first thing to do is to create one page. So I will name it init, why not? Initial page or home, okay, home page. That's the same. A background color, it's possible also to select here background color. You can also change anytime. The size you can change for a specific page. You can change the size in landscape, on portrait, the width and the height. You can indicate if it's. We will see this in the last session. It's there is a HBAC library, so the page is a bit slightly different because of the 3D aspect, and so you can also indicate this, and you can also create master pages. So not the first one, but the rest of the pages can be master, so you can have a template behind the graphics or icons or whatever. So, and you can define to use a master page that you have previously created. So all these things are possible when you create a page, but I will just say, okay, and start to mention about all the windows. So in the view menu, you see that there is a lot of things that we can access also. Even different views for the edition. So this is very, very useful also. So we can work up to 3 views for the edition, and 3 main pages in the visualization, and also 4 extra pages for the web manager window. So we can have a visualization with 7 screens, even more if it's necessary. So we have a lot of windows open. I will just restore the panel positions to ensure that I have the default options here to show you. The question is that the zoom, in this case, it's in auto mode. So if you can change this, or you can try to change this, but if it's in auto mode, what happens is if you resize, the window is resizing at the same time. So it's very simple to handle this window position and size. And about the different windows that we have, we will work with a lot of these windows, but all of them are very interesting. All of them are very interesting. So we can also see, while we are doing the practices, that one of my favorites is the variable window. So we can also put it, for example, here, the variables. It's more useful for me to have it near. Maybe the system messages, it's interesting, but it's not critical. So you can also just close it, so you gain some of the space. And of course, mainly we work with 3 different things. We have my central canvas to create my visualization. In the right part, that is not so important because we can access to the items, but in the right, in the top right window, you can see here the item tree. Okay, so there is all the things that we have. Imagine the alias, for example. You remember we organize everything in alias. So we have all these things here, so we can directly use these items in our design. This is what we are going to use, the items. And elements, graphically elements, that is in the left in the object catalog, graphical elements to create our controls, our images, our buttons, etc. So it's a lot of things that we can use in our visualization. Another interesting windows to comment, well, this object catalog, we have different categories. So it's not only this general, that is a lot of things that we can explain about these general buttons, and we will do. There is some other specific buttons library. This is more historical because we have been using these buttons a long time, sliders, or even gauges. It is very interesting for metering. And other libraries that can give you, for example, a lot of, it's about 100 different icons per color, and we have about 20 colors. So we have thousands of buttons that we can use. That's fantastic. So by default, you can find normally 95% of the cases the right icons to use. So because you have a lot of colors to use all these icons. And also we have a special HBAC library that I will show you in the last session. So this is also very interesting to have these dynamic elements for HBAC, but this is not by default installed in the server, in the suite. And about a part of that, controls to use with the items, we have the possibility to define the different layers, for example. So you have here the layers window. By default, we only have two layers, the background one that is not editable. So you can see here the properties of that is editable or not in enabling editor, visible in editor and in runtime. So enabling the visualization in runtime visualization, on visible in runtime visualization. So normally by default, it's okay. And the default layer has everything enabled. So we will see how it works. We will also see that there is an object tree window where everything we are creating, it's here in a fast way to access to the elements. Any kind of elements, we will have the possibility to know it, where it is, in which page it is the element, and what is the definition, internal definition or identification of that element. So that's also sometimes useful. There is a group window that we will always use, because we can group elements and graphically fixing. We can do a graphically fixing element. So we will also be here, be able to make it visible or invisible, change the name, the properties of that group. There are different groups that, for example, we can create some kind of widgets and with a pop-up functionality. So we can define as a group a sort of elements to control, for example, one complex light like a dimmer or one shutter or whatever, and we group it, and then it will appear here. So it's also a nice window to see. And in the right part, we have other windows that are a bit hidden. Search data points, it's also sometimes useful. Item properties is really, really interesting. And the object properties is the most interesting in my case, to explain afterwards. These object properties, in my opinion, should be also a window always open, because the properties can be also defined and changed dynamically here. So it's very, very interesting to have it open. So there is a lot of windows. I should use my second screen in order to have a good surface for the design, but it's okay. So let's start doing something with the design. So some initial example for you. So I have a main page. Imagine that this is a project for a hotel, for example. So we should have a background here, an image that is representing my hotel. So we have, the first thing we can do is to put an image. This is the icon. So you just drag and drop. So you can drag and drop an image. I only need one. So as you can see here, the first thing that happens is when I insert this, I will edit now, but there is one element here. So I will make it floating window. I have my first element. I can change the name. This is my whatever name of my element. I will not do this for every element I insert, because if you use thousands of elements, it is a time-consuming task. But you have information about this element. If you want to identify, when you have several elements in your screen, there is a possibility here in the edit menu to switch your visualization to IDs editor. So you will identify what is this element. This is the dollar background image, because I changed the name. If I put again the number 1, it is my element number 1. So this is interesting sometimes for edition, but I will close this window because maybe I will try again to fix it together with this. Yes, okay. So you can move it and try to fix it in the position. So okay, I will go back to the graphics editor. The IDs editor is interesting sometimes to find something. This is an image I would like to include, so I will double click and I have my image properties window. Okay. I will try to find one specific background. So maybe Flora have a window that we will give you all these elements for you. So you will have all the resources of the sessions after today. but floor notes, it's home page. Yes, this one. This is nice. And I apply. Okay, this is the image. Of course, I want to resize it and place it to fit all the screen. So my position layer is the tab that I want to configure. So this is the position from the top and from the left. So it should be 0, 0. So you put it there. And of course, the width, it was 1920 times 1080, I think. Yes. And also, it's interesting to define it in the background, because what happens if you have this in the default layer is that you can move it, and I don't want this image to move. I want to have it fixed. So again, I replace it again there, and I indicated that it should be in the background. So now if I press, I am not moving the image. So we have my background image. Fantastic. Okay, this is the hotel. So let's put here the name of or some label indicating that this is the hotel project. So the label here, for example, with some text. This is a label. It could be a text. It could be an indicator. So we will use all these options. But now it's a text, a simple text. It could be fixed text or it could be dynamic text. We will see this in the last example about the GRMS, for example, or next session about the variables also. There is a lot of possibilities that the text, but now I am going to put here netx hotel, for example. It could be changed dynamically to the different languages, for example, or wherever. If it's, for example, the room instead of the hotel is the room, and the room number is different depending on the user, it will change dynamically also. This is the concept of a variable, something that is going to variate depending on whatever condition or whatever values of that variable that takes. So it's important to start thinking bold, start thinking in a global, for global projects. So it's interesting. But now I will just put a fixed text. You can choose the font. I can change also the font by default, because maybe it could be not Arial, my favorite one, but some of the fonts are included in the web visualization and some not. So it's interesting to not to play so much with the fonts and try to find a neutral fonts for this. Well, I don't want to select the size because I have the possibility to say auto size. So you can see that it's automatically taking the size of the label. I can rotate it for this property. Also, rotation is a property. The transparency is a property. The alignment is also property. So you can also indicate that it's maybe better to have a middle center. So, or left center. Middle left. That's it. So I can also fit the shape. Well, it's not that easy because of the auto size. That's okay. Enough. So, and this is not necessary to change this because you can move it manually. So it's also possible to change that dynamically with your mouse. So this is the netx hotel. Okay. I would like also to indicate, for example, the external temperature in this screen. So this is another example of label use. External temperature. Let's see what is this. It should be not a text, but an indicator. So now, if you select some element that is related to items, you can find here one example of item window. So you have to select this from your item tree. And this item tree is in some window here. So it's also possible to try to find the external temperature. So you should go here to weather, home, and try to see what is the temperature, for example. And you can also try to move it directly to that. But it's, in my opinion, useless because you have here a button to select and the item tree appears here. So it's, I think, in my opinion, is trying to find it in that window when you have a button that triggers you a window with the items is enough. So that's the way, in my opinion. So that's it. This is the item. So I want to receive data from this item. This is also important. And then you can even, it's very interesting because the label can be also, the color of the label can change depending on some limits. And this is a dynamic also parameter. So imagine that you want to monitor the external temperature. And if the temperature is less than 10 degrees, for example, indicate it graphically. So you can put this, I want limit the value minimum to 10, maximum to 40, for example. And if you are out of that limits, you will have different colors of the label. This is also possible. So this can be configured in the next tab, the appearance tab. So in the appearance tab, we can also, of course, use the auto size, for example. Rotation, alignment, okay, but in my opinion, on alignment, I will select again middle left. And the background color of that label is transparent now, but the text color could be changed. It could be red, for example. And if you have a problem with the limits, you can change the color to yellow with red background. Oh, sorry, no, it's not that. Red background with yellow color with the text. So if the value is, for example, below 10 degrees or above 40 degrees, it will be a different tab, indicating you some kind of alarm in the value. So it's not an alarm, but it is an indication of that something is not good with that. About the format, it's also very important because if I apply and just start, I can see only value. It's this, but I want to indicate that this, and this is below 10. So you can see that it's in red color and with yellow, with the red label and yellow color for the value. But I would like, a part of that, I would like two things to do. First, to indicate that this is Celsius degrees, for example, okay, Celsius degrees. And second, look, there is a tooltip. Can you see that? This is a tooltip, okay? So I will do two things for this example that I hope you will like. The first is to change this tooltip that is a bit awful because it's indicating the item ID, so it makes nonsense to do. So, okay, I will stop this now. So I can change the tooltip with these properties of the object, custom tooltip. And I can say external temperature. For example, if it's only a fixed test, you can see that we are changing that. And the tooltip now is indicating what is this value. Okay, this is the external. It's not the whole temperature, it's the external temperature. That's good. Okay. But you can also imagine that you want, let me first do the formatting. Two things here. For example, if you want not two decimals, only one decimal, because two decimals is not, makes nonsense. How to do only one decimal? How to show only one decimal? There is a format that is open a key and say 0 to points. Okay, this is a basic value and the format of the value. If you want only one decimal, you put 0.0, only one decimal. If you want two decimal, you put a hash before. So hash 0 means two decimals. If you want 3 decimal, if you have enough resolution, you put 2 hash. ##0 means 3 decimals. Okay, so that's it. If you don't want to add anymore, just 0, 2 points, and 0.0. And then the text you want to put behind that. So now it will be that format. This is the format of my label. I will, sorry, but I will put here a minimum value of 5 because I don't want to have it in red color. I have shown that it works, but let me show you that this is working now better. And this is with 1 decimal and a tooltip. But we can do this better. Imagine that you want with the tooltip to indicate this in Fahrenheit. You may remember that we used yesterday one trick about this in the server. So let me go to the server and do this example again. I have a module, logic module, and I have a parsing definitions that give me the possibility to convert to Fahrenheit some specific item with that. So I just have to take this value from here, okay, this one, and say okay, and save, and check if I have my new sub item or metadata of this weather here. Yes, we have my temperature in Fahrenheit. And this is an item that I can use, and I will use it in a special way because I want to show this in here in Fahrenheit. So let me show how to do this in this window, object properties window. This will be the first use of a variable, external temperature. I will use one variable that is a change line. So, sorry, yes, the key ch dot 2 points nl, new line. And then here I will put an item value. If I write this, I am writing exactly this value, the centigrades. So I put centigrades. Again, change new line variable, and I put another value, item value, and this item will be now and I will do it from here, this item. This is the item, ID. This sub item, I hope it works because it's the first time I use it, but I close the key item value in Fahrenheit. So let's check if this is working fine or not. Let's check. Okay. So what I have done is, that's it. The centigrade is with a lot of a lot of decimals, but it's okay. External temperature, you have 7.94. Maybe we should have to process before this value to have only 1 or 2 decimals, but you have also behind another information that is another item value that you can put here. If you want, you can put here the humidity. It's a tooltip that you can customize. So it's fantastic because this is only an example that how professional you can do a visualization. You can process anything, and there is a lot of variables that you can also use. I am just explaining the very first example is just one label, one indicator of a temperature, but it's really fantastic. So to explain these kind of things and see that it's working very nice. So the tooltips can also be edited. Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue because this is only one short example for you to understand. We have our hotel here, the temperature, and I will show you the date and time because it's interesting in a main page to have always date and time. So let's see. It's a label date time. So I just apply. I don't have to do anything. If you want, by default, it's working very well. I don't want to spend time. That's okay. The date and the time. The format is maybe not the Anglo-Saxon. This day and month, not month and day. In Spain is this, but you can change it. It's not a problem. You can edit that format, so you can change this and put, okay, I want to use, I think it's again 0 2 points, month. Maybe without this. Yes. Let me check. No, very optimistic I am. I have to put it into in brackets, I think. That's it. Now it's working. Yes, that's it. I start, and you have the right month, day, and year with the time, because you can format it. You can change this. You can also include, for example, the week. So put here week. I'm not sure if I am doing well. Well, there is a lot of formats that you can also. The number of the week is also possible. So you can change that format. If you don't want to put seconds, it's okay. If you want to put the date in a different format, it's also possible. So if you put just 3, 2, this is the number. 3 is acronym of the day of the week. My computer is in Spanish, so Thursday is jueves. And you can also put here whatever. You can edit, no problem. So there is I think in the knowledge base, there is some link to explain how this works. So, okay, let me continue to create a hotel visualization more clear. I will create a page now for a floor. So new page for the floor 1. Okay, floor. I will not indicate the number of the floor because it will be used in the next session for the variable concept. So floor needs a background image, so double click as we did before. I will select, and there is some floor backgrounds that we can use. Not this, blank, this. Yes, and this is necessary to resize and locate it properly. Okay, so I have my floor. I just put here a label, for example, with my text floor. I will put floor 01. Okay, it's just for now. But in the future, I will change this because I want to do this work only once, not to create any amount of floors that the hotel has. If the hotel has 100 floors, I don't want to create 100 pages, one per floor, because the floors are identical. So you will see in the future that it's possible. And then I want to create also an access for my room. For example, I will put here, I can copy paste also easy. So I can put here the number of the room, for example. Why not? This is the room. Okay. And if I want to trigger from the first page to this page, and from this page to the room page, I will show you. I will create a page for the room, and I will not put a number of the room, but this is the first room to use, but this is the room. I will put an image for the room. For example, this, and in the background. So I have my room, okay? And the label that indicates the number of the room. This is the room 0101. That's it, okay. So I have 3 pages now, the floor, home, okay. So from here, I should trigger to access to the other page. So this is the next thing, to go to the floor page. And then from here, if I press this button here, I should go to the room page. So I have 3 pages. How to do this? It's very simple. I will go to home and I will put, imagine that the hotel is this building. Okay, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4 floors. I have 4 floors here. Okay, my first floor is this one. So I have just to put here a transparent element where that if I press on it, I go to a different page. That's it. Let's do it. We have 3 different possibilities, but the most typical one is, for example, I will show you 2. A link area, that is the most intuitive. Link area is something like this, a link area, but it's not taking the shape, the real shape of the floor. So I will put it here because I want to show you that there is another possibility, a polygon. You can also use a polygon, and a polygon gives you the possibility to define exactly the shape you would like to have. Double click and you have the shape for that polygon. And that's better, in my opinion, than just a rectangle. This is not in this case. Maybe for the next it could be, but I am interested to use the polygon. So this is a transparent thing. So in the appearance, I will release the border because the border is still present. Now it's absent. And the function is go to page. There's another functions that we will use. For example, the change group visibility is also very useful for the pop-ups. But in this case, I just want to go to a page, and the page is the page floor, and that's it. That's it. I also do another interesting thing. We can have different views. So maybe I would like to open a second view for the floor. So it would be a good idea to have extra view for the floor. So I don't have to put icons or buttons to come back to the home and go to the floor and come back, because I will have them in different views. So it's interesting also to have more sophisticated visualization. There is something here about variables. Now it's not going to be used, the variable concept, but in the future it will. So I will reuse this project and make it much powerful than you may think. But that's it. Let me check. Let's start here to test. And then if I press, I go to the floor and in a different window. So I have both windows here. Okay, so that's working. It's working fine. I stop now and I will select the floor window. And here, what I have to do is to use, and in this case, I will use a link area. It's inserted after the text, so it will be after the text in the top position. So double click, go to page room, correct. And I can use even a third view, up to 3 views, so that's okay. And I will release the border for this, no picture behind, and just check. And yes, it's working fine. So if I am coming from the beginning, for example, this is opening 3 views. Okay, I have main view to select the floor view, and the room view. That's it. And of course, if I have 100 floors and 100 rooms per floor, I don't like to create 10,000 pages for rooms, 100 pages for floors, and 1 page for the hotel. It's 10,101 pages that I am not interested to work so much, for example, or 500 rooms or whatever. So this is in the second visualization, in the second session, we will explain. So now we have to center in my room. Okay, this is the room 0101. Let's explain you something about this. Well, first of all, I would like to, before I forget, I would like to show you something special. We can include special graphics here. For example, a cat drawing. So we can include a cat drawing here. So it's very, very interesting because let me show you how to do it. I will put it here. If it's interesting for you, it's possible to select here a cat drawing. Let me try to find it. Sorry. I don't know if I have. Yes, I have some floor plan here. DWG, DXF, DWF, so it's possible. And then you have one special tool to select what is interesting for you to show in this. So imagine that even you can choose the layers. So it's possible to deactivate whatever layer. This should be done, in my opinion, in the cat file, but it's okay. So if you select just that specific, imagine, no, that specific part, let me zoom. I want just to put this in the cat. I just press OK, and I get a cat file in my visualization. And it's a conversion to a SVG. So this is not CAD now, it's SVG where after you press. Of course, there are something elements, so the gross of the lines should be changed in the CAD file or whatever, but you have to do some previous work, but you can include any AutoCAD file here. So it's fantastic also, this functionality. This was just an example for you to know. Also SVG. SVG is a dynamic vectorial graphics. So the resolution is not important in the SVG. I will show you creating a button with an icon, so you will see. But we go back to the room. So yes, okay, we will create now a button, for example, to control the lights of the room. So there is a lot of buttons that we could use here, but maybe you don't like this button. So if you like it, of course you can use it, but if you want to create your own custom button, you have it. This button, it looks not nice now, but it will be, because we can use any kind of icon behind this. So we have a lot of things we can do with this button. In the terms of the appearance, it's really powerful, the things that we can do with the button. In the terms of the management of the items, it's fantastic. This is really, really powerful. In my case, the function is really incredible what you can do. Standard button is a lot of functions that you can use, you can choose, but also you can include XCommand buttons. XCommand means that you can do things with short, with long pressing, long down, long up. defining the difference between long and short click. So you can simulate a real button with short and long, for example, for a dimmer or for a shutter. That's fantastic because the end user is using exactly the same user experience that with a real button in KNX, for example. So it's really fantastic. So you can do whatever. And the best thing is that you can choose X commands. So you can also trigger whatever thing with just pushing of a button. You can trigger an email sending, you can trigger a whatever action because X commands are X commands. You remember what X command is, so you can trigger whatever thing you may have created before in the XLogic editor. So it's fantastic, and this is only one of the functions. You can also use the button to go to page to change the layer visibility. So this was the third option for the thing I explained before. You can open a web manager window with a button. So we will see all these examples. You can show a URL window. So you can also show, for example, a camera. You execute a menu command, for example, for Windows or whatever, close visualization. So it's a button, but it's huge, the functionality that you have. Even only with the standard button, imagine that you can select a typical switch between two values, okay? But you can also define that value. So this is fantastic because you can select not only one, up to 10 items and change the values of these items when you press one and the second time alternatively. So it's like triggering two different scenes at the end. So it's fantastic. It's really incredible, this button. In this case, I will just use this for the functionality is very simple. I will go to the alias of my room, and there is a central off of the lights. That's okay. Central off. It's enough for me. So only this central off, on and off value. If you want, we can test if it's working or not. Just show you the camera with not this camera. You don't want to see me because I am big and I am hiding the practical board. So now this camera, yes. And okay, I press start. And the first room is the bottom left. So that's it. It works. But the aspect of the button is not the right one. Okay, so I will choose a different one. So how to change the aspect of this button in the appearance tab? We have different ways to do this, but the best is to choose the files directly. So you have the possibility to have off state, on state, or undefined state, because sometimes you don't have a quality in the item. Remember, the quality is important. The items in red color in the BMS, I will show you briefly. If you have items, you may find a lot of items with red color because you don't change whatever in this item. So this is the quality of the item. And if you see the property of that, the item quality is uncertain. So in this case, for uncertain quality, you have a specific icon in the visualization. And if you have a good quality, it doesn't matter the value. Good quality means that could be on or off in this case. So, okay. Off state, on state. Okay, let me try to choose some icons. I will do it independently. In a different tab. I will find some icons here. Okay. And this is just an example. I am just downloaded from a web page that you can download all these icons. So I will now extract two icons with a bulb. and show you just the result. It's not interesting. Okay. For you to see which icon is, just showing you which icon is. Okay, this is the icon, for example, for the light on. So as you can see, the icon is resizing and the resolution is the same. So it's not losing resolution because it's a SVG icon, for example. That's okay. For the light on, it's this icon. And for the light off will be this one. So on and off. And you can include this in the visualization with no problem. And this is coming from a web page. So it's just have to find SVG icons and that's it. So again, we select this off state icon. It is in downloads, my bulb. For the off, my bulb. For the on, and the undefined state is the off, for example, again. Okay, and just show you that you can have any kind of icon. The colors is not important, so that's it. If you want, again, in the tooltip, you can change that tooltip. So just with the mouse, you know what is happening. On off all. Okay, that's it. So this is a simple button that you can use for the control of a light. Of course, we have our own library, so it's maybe interesting to have it. Let me check the size. 140 should be better. That's it. So, okay, more things to show you. The creation of a widget is also interesting. So we will last these last 15 minutes of the session creating a widget for the control of a light. I will show you one widget already created. So it's interesting to know what is the result I would like to have. This is one widget created by me. So, but I will have this as a reference, but I will show you how to create this. I will close the camera now. So the first thing we need is just to have, for example, some backgrounds. Maybe it could be possible to find some backgrounds like this one, for example. So this is more or less the background I would like to have. The size, it's possible also to synchronize the size of both because you can say, I want the same size for this, but it's dangerous because I have them grouped. They let me ungroup this because if not, they are always grouped. These two elements, I want to make the same size. The reference is the one with the border in red. So if I say same size, I got exactly the same size. So that's it. That's what I want. And I also can, for example, know some parameter like the transparency of this, for example. The appearance is opacity of 80% because it's not exactly the same as transparency. So you can also say, okay, my opacity should be 80. That's it. So now it's a bit more transparent. So that's what I like. And then we will just put here a label. So if you don't mind, I will copy paste because it's a time consuming task to do this. So it's a label. Luth, no, it should be English light. Okay. Bed, light bed. This will be for the bed light. Okay. light at bed light. Should be better, bed light. Bed light, okay. Now I have a button, I will create this, or I will use in the libraries. I have style in yellow, yes, yellow, and I have lights in alphabetical order, light, rect 2. This is the button. So the size also can be synchronized. Same size, so I get the size, okay. And the control of the light, okay, this is a bed light. Double click, I need to switch. For example, if you want just to turn on and off, this the option switch. It just, if you only want to send one specific value on or off, you, for example, press toggle down. So when you press or when you release, so toggle up is the same. So increase a value, decrease a value, for example, for the temperature set point or whatever, it's also possible. So there is a lot of possibilities. But in this case, I just go here, I try to find my light bed light, okay, bed light. This is the item, room, lights, on, off, bed, okay. And important, very important, the status of that light. This is not a central value. So we have a status, on, off status of my light. In this case, the status is just for receiving. The control is to send and also to receive, because you can have another control identical. So you need, when any of that controls change the value, you are not waiting always for the status. You have to switch automatically. So receiving in both cases, sending only in the first. This is also KNX basics, but it's interesting to review that concept. This on, off, and the status always. Okay, that's it. We can test if it's working. Always testing is a good thing. So let me again show you the camera. I hope it's the right one. Yes. So on, okay, and off, okay. Let me do something, because yesterday in the scripting, I did something that now is a bit frustrating. That is turn on all the lights of the room 0204. So I now put it in comment mode, so that's okay now. We would not going to disturb us again. Okay, so it's working fine. It's working fine. I will turn off now the room 0204, for example. Okay, so we can continue with our edition. The slider, for example. Okay, let me stop this, and the slider. The slider is also interesting to control the value of that light. Okay, so sliders, we have it here, and I have some 3D slider that we can use. This kind of slider is okay. I also can make it same size. This just to not to make it different. And if I press double click, I can change many things. For example, the interior or the fill color lights for me are yellow. If I have an undefined state, for example, red. So that's a bit more similar. The axis is also very important, because I go from 0 to 100, it's a light. Now from 0 to 10 to 100, it's impossible, if not to control this. And then the object, it's a control, yes. not necessarily a scale factor because I have a definition of the data point is correct, is the scaling, so it's important. And then the data. The data in this case is a value to control. It's important, value to control, one byte value percentage for the bed, and the status value for the bed. Not sending, only receiving. That's again the same idea. So I can apply and I can test it. It's on and it's in value 23. I can change this also to the tooltip, and I can send more value or even more value, and I can, if I press the central, it's responding with the status. Okay, it's working fine. The status is also working fine. So it is important, the status for this. For a central function, the light is need to indicate what is happening. If I want to put a text with a current percentage, I can also show you what I did in this. It's a simple current light value is the text. It's a simple text. And there is a label. And the label is just indicating me the status value. Okay. And with a specific formatting. Look, this is 2 decimal in this case, 0 to 0.0.0 and with percentage. So that's current value. Bigger should be better. So let's check if this value is working. When we get the value, yes, we get the value. Fantastic. When the light arrives to that value, so it's working fine. That's the way, using labels, for example. And now, finally, I will create these buttons. These buttons is for the dimming, long and short push, but I will do it from the scratch. So finish this first session with this, and we continue with shutters or whatever. I will just take the size only the size, if you don't mind. And then the icons should be specific, plus and minus. Okay, appearance. Let me go for the icon. The files for all the status will be a plus. I think I have this in the I have to find it. I have to find it. Let's a second. Yes. Here it is. 1 second, it's coming. Yeah. That's it. Yes, edit add is the one. Same. It's a plus. It's a plus. So this is the icon. Yes. So the aspect is this. So button, and for the minus, it's the same. I just have to make same size for both. Oops. Control Z if you want to move it. And that's it. I just have to double click appearance from the beginning, only the appearance I am doing. So edit, remove. This is the one. So the same for all the cases, because you are not going to see the status with these buttons. You just see the result. Okay, that's it. And now the most important thing is, of course, the functionality. And this is really interesting. Okay, I'm interested to have short and long pushing and make different things, do different things behind that action. So I need to select the XCommand button. Short click, okay. I will just write to the item ID that is the on-off for the bed, on-off for the bed, the value 1. This is 1 bit value for the on. That's it. That's it. And for the long down, I need to write, but it's a dimming 4-bit value. And this dimming 4-bit value, it should be 9. I explain. In binary, it should be send up. This is one is up 100%. This is in binary. In 4-bit format, in KNX, this data point is that way. 1 means I am adding, and the 3 bits indicates the range, the whole range. Divide the range only one time. So the whole range, 100%. So 1001 in decimal is value 9. This is the reason why I need 9 for this. And when I stop pressing, long up means release. After a long press, I need to write the value, for example, 8, doesn't mind 8 or 0. I explain here, because it's 1, 0, 0, 0, it's 8, or 0, 0, 0, 0. The question is that when you send 0, 0, 0, it's a stop dimming. So it doesn't mind if it's with 1 or with 0 in the first bit. So it doesn't mind 8 or 0. I will select 8. This is the value. 1, 0, 0, 0 is 8. This is a stop for the dimming. The dimming is the 4-bit. It's not the value that we have used in the slider. So this is a small classroom of a small class of 4-bit. So that's for the plus, and for the minus, it's the same. I need to select XCommand button with a short, a long down, and a long up for this. I will select first this because I have it already charged here. So for the long down, I need to send 1, but 1 is not on, is 0001 in 4-bit format. So this means go down, 0 is down, 100%. So this is a 1, but in 4-bit format. It's not turn on the light. So this is a 1. And then the stop, it could be 8 or 0. So let's check 0. 0 is because it's 0000 in 4-bit format. So it's stop And the first bit is not important. And the first one is to turn off the light. In this case, it is on off. And in this case, it's 1 bit, it's 0. So this is the way that we can have a dimming of a light. So you can see if I, for example, press short, it is going on. I press short. Okay. If I press short here, click, it's going off. But if I press long, now I have pressed long, it is going up and up and up and up and up. If it reaches 100, it goes, I can stop. If I press long, it is going slowly down, 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 down. And it goes to the minimum. I will press long again, I stop. Long again, down, I stop. So you can control, and with short, I stop. So you have exactly the same simulation as for a real push button with short and long. The only thing remaining here is to put, for example, these texts on off. That's good to have it here to explain. And this again, okay. And the very last thing, and we stop the session, we will continue now, is, okay, I will delete this. I have these elements, but they are not grouped. If I move this text, it's moved. So I want to have it fixed, grouped. So right button, and there is an option for grouping. Create a new group, yes. Dim, for example. But this is the dimming of the bed light. But okay, let's say dim. That's okay. And if you just select graphically fix it, it's okay. Now they move all together. Okay, you can put it wherever you want. The problem is that I would like to have this for any light. That's the problem. So if I have to copy paste all these elements, so it will occupy a lot of space. If I have in the room 10 lights, it's nice to have the control of the lights, but it takes a lot of space. So it makes nonsense. It's okay if you have only 2 lights. Okay, we can just change this for ceiling, for example. But you have to take care because you have to change this. It's not complicated because I was thinking before, and only changing this name, you are changing all these things, but it takes some time to do this. So it takes some time. So let's do it in a minute. I will copy. It's a good thing that you have organized the items properly, so it takes only a few time to change all this bed to ceiling, for example, definition. But it will be not necessary at all, and you will know why. Because in the next session, we will talk about variables, and it's fantastic because with the variables, you do work only once. Imagine I have 6 lights in one room. I have 8 rooms only in this example, so it should be done only for this room, this waste of time. But imagine that for every room, you should do exactly the same. So it's nonsense. But okay, we can just test if this it's working. It's a group. Let me test for the ceiling light. Yes, the ceiling light is the front, the one in the front. So it's working. It looks that a plus, yes, minus. Okay. So it goes to 15. This is the minimum. I can press short. I can press short here also. I can move the slide manually, so I can control that light. It's working fine, and the other is the same. The other light is the top one. So it is time consuming, but it's not so much time. If I, for example, turn on both lights and turn off both lights, they are synchronized, so it's working fine. But the problem is that it is consuming a lot of space, for example, in the window. So last thing is, okay, I don't want to use this space in the room. I want for my customer experience to have a clear room. And then if you, for example, select or press the bed, this will be triggering, I want to trigger the bed controls. And if you press the ceiling, it should trigger the ceiling controls. So let me situate it here. So this is the last thing to explain this in this example, how to trigger, to pop up these controls. It's very simple. I just need to define this as a pop-up, grouping, properties, and select this as a pop-up group. Pop-up group with global auto close. This means that if you press outside of the element that triggers this pop-up, I will show you, it will be hidden. That's it. And the same for this slide. Grouping properties, I am defining as a pop-up group. So look, in the groups window, the type of the group now will be considered a pop-up group. Okay. So how to, and if I now start the visualization, they disappear. They are waiting for be pop-up, for be popped up to be triggered. How do I trigger these lights? With a transparent control above the bed or the ceiling. So this is a link area, typical. A link area, I can put a link area here. So you press on this bed, for example, double click. You can choose the function, change a group visibility. What is the group? The dim for the bed, it was the dim. Switch on, okay? And I will release the border, okay? And that's the pop-up. Let me do the same for this. For example, ceiling light, double click, pop-up visibility for the other group, okay? And without border. And let's check. Another thing I can do is to put both in the same space, in the same position, because it will be hidden. So if I press bed, I can control the bed. If I press ceiling, the bed control is hidden and I can control the ceiling. If I press outside, both are hidden. So only pressing the bed, I have the bed light, only pressing the ceiling, I have the ceiling light. So that's also possible. And if you are pressing outside of that elements, you are not disturbed with this. So sorry for this 15 minutes extra, but I think it was interesting. We will continue in half an hour. Thank you very much and see you in the next session. Bye.